Welcome to Macon Bleu, where we introduce you to who is building Arizona, bringing you the people and businesses that shape the landscape around us. From economic development and developers, underwriters and lenders, architects and engineers, to the very builders and suppliers that bring it all together. Now let's join our hosts, Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky, aka Macon Bleu.
Welcome to Macon Bleu. I'm Robert Johnson, Vice President of Business Development with Torrey Contracting. He's JJ Levensky. He's the president of Blue Wave General Contracting.
How you doing?
None of your business.
I love it. See, I love it.
I'm doing good. It's been an interesting day so far.
I know.
Yeah. And we are thrilled today to have Tucker Macon with Sundt Construction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Little bitty outfit. I don't know, for our listeners,
Yeah,
you're probably going to have to take a minute and Google it. You're going to have to go through a lot of searches to find it. But yeah, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's honestly, it's a pleasure and honestly an honor. When you reached out, I thought, what a great idea. What a great idea to have something like this to communicate our industry to around to all those interested, and then be I thought you had the email wrong. I thought like that it wasn't me. They're looking for somebody else.
Oh, that's nice. That's
well, the lottery ticket didn't pan out that day, so we got hold of you, Tucker.
It was like, yeah, we better find somebody. No, I was just telling him. He asked me just before you got here. He said, "Have you ever met Tucker?" And I said, "No." We're connected on LinkedIn, and I saw where you were announced to have joined a board of somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, just recently or over the last few weeks.
Yes, Valley of the Sun YMCA.
There it was.
There you go.
And I said, "Oh, great! Well, congrats! Hey, you ought to be on our podcast." and yeah, so that's kind of the way it went.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Sundt, and then a little bit about Sundt themselves.
It's a long story.
Okay.
Well, take your time.
I was born on a beach, and no.
yeah, in a basket.
I came to Sundt. Well, so I guess about me, I grew up in Southern California. I went to a little high school called Lake Elsinore High School. Okay. Worked in Marietta, California, back when it was a one stop sign. Didn't even have a stoplight. A big deal when the stoplight got there, right? So a great little town. Part of my story is that coming out of high school, really didn't know what I wanted to do. Was kind of not floundering. I'd always worked through high school and that sort of thing, but I kind of fell into an opportunity to be an electrician for housing, residential homes and trimming, track lighting, plugs and switches, fluorescent lighting, those sorts of things, and found out very quickly that there was some money to be made, and it was actually kind of fun work. It was interesting. I have an engineer mind and engineer heart, and there was some engineering component to that, and so that's really how I fell into the industry, and then kind of it was interesting because what I found out very quickly is if you were the most responsible person on the crew, you got the pager and you got the keys to the trailer. So
that's exactly how.
But when you advertise out that, how I always say that, with more responsibility does always mean you make the most per hour, doesn't it?
That's true, yeah, because it was all piecework, so it didn't matter, right? But I did take the responsibility, and I took it to heart to be the first one on the job site, to be able to be trusted to open the gates and then open the connects and make sure that everybody had the supplies to do their work. It was a lot of, in that day, this is in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was a lot of piecework, and so it was important for somebody to make sure that everybody had enough material to put in place to then get paid, and I took that pretty personally, and therefore and I'm jumping a step here, but that brings me to where I'm at today in the aspect of the passion of keeping people employed, providing opportunities to go out and make a really decent living, and to put not only put food on the table, but also have medical insurance and opportunities for people for growth and be fed and be challenged and those sorts of things. And we can get into that a little later. But yeah, honestly, that took me up to I had a plan by 30 to not be wearing the bags anymore, and so went back to college. Kind of did the night school thing for a while. Went to Pomona, Cal Poly Pomona, and basically came out of that, and there was a great opportunity to come to Arizona. And
If you don't mind me asking and interrupting, was it like construction management or just business?
Yeah, it was construction management.
Okay.
Yeah, and really focused on the pre-con side. I thought that was my foot in the door. I did see that, as working in the field, I saw that there was a really great opportunity, and that there was a need for good estimators and somebody, folks that could really put the whole package together and present it and be able to explain it, and then also be able to, on the business side, like really understand, like, what is it that we on an hour basis, hour for hour basis, what is the money that needs to be made to make sure that, again, all those things happen. People are staying employed, right? All those things. So that's where I kind of focused in on, and really, really, really enjoyed that part of the industry. I'll jump to I've spent some time at Perini. Spent 5 years out in Vegas building the city center. When it was
on the good side of that, or on the bad side?
On the good side of that, I was not part of the bad side of that. Although there's some I could tell you great stories of that too. But honestly, it was such a career defining moment. I recently was asked in another situation, like, what would be your career defining moment? And it was really part of the, multi-billion-dollar project that was, owned by the client that was right next door and watched you work every day, and putting production in place and really building a product. The going theme with that project was, we're building something now that we don't know what it's going to be in 10 years, right? So you have to build the infrastructure. Like, we're building things now that technology isn't even invented yet. So how do you incorporate that into the design? How do you price that? And then how do you put that in place, right? And it was just such a the mantra was always, and still continues to be, you don't wait, and if you have to clarify it, make it up, clarify it and make it reasonable, be able to explain it, you go, right?
Just
move, just keep moving. And really that kind of mantra has kind of followed me through. And so spent a little bit of time. So after Perini, it was bad times, as you can imagine. This was like 2010. Through 2012, I spent back to my roots, went back to an electrical contractor, Berg Electric, for a couple of years. And then big electrical company, as you can imagine. And then Sundt, actually Marty Hedlund, if you've heard that name, Marty Hedlund called me one day and asked for lunch, and I don't know, 3 weeks later I was sitting at a desk at Sundt, and then I'll give you the Sundt story. 132-year strong general contractor. We've got offices, Sacramento, we'd call it the Southwest Smirk, from Sacramento, Irvine, San Diego, Phoenix, Tucson, El Paso, and then you roll into Texas with San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth. We are in a growth mode. We've got multiple branches of our company. I personally work for the vertical construction component of the company, but we have transportation, industrial, and concrete. And each one of those divisions has its own their own profit model, right? So their own profit center, and there's a model of what each one of those is going to look like. Lots of opportunity, as you can imagine, throughout the country on the infrastructure side, right?
Massive.
Yeah. So they got a lot of work going on in Idaho. We've got a renewable component of the company that lives on the East Coast. Only because it's fresh in my mind, we just had our town hall with our CEO that presents kind of the strength of the company and what's going on. And so we've got a lot of expansion going on, specifically on the industrial and the and the transportation portion of the company. So,
And you are employee owned.
we are 100% employee owned. Thanks. That is correct. Every employee is an owner, and I tell the story, and it's not bullshit. Sorry, man.
I think that's like G-rated stuff for construction.
You're good to go.
Don't worry about it.
I would say that we, as an employee-owned company, there is a certain amount of pride that goes into each one of the projects, and each one of our people have a true. I don't know how to say it, but a true, like, they really want every project to be successful. And it's not just monetarily. Our mission is, we build great environments to put our communities and our employee owners, create value for them.
Sure.
And that's really our stance going forward. And we do try to do that on a daily basis. It just really gives everybody cares. There's the opposite side of that, which is you'll have somebody, like, you'll throw away a paperclip and they're like, how much paperclips cost?
Yeah. We've all been to those places. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really it's a really a different kind of culture and a value system when you got an 100% employee company. Everybody's
And successful.
Yes,
culture.
exactly. Yeah.
What exactly, for our listeners' sake, lots of people know what a project manager is. A lot of people know, what your superintendents and foremen. What does a project director do, and what is their role?
It's got a low handicap.
Yeah, they're always trying.
Sorry, I had to.
Always a work in progress.
Yeah.
It is really, and it's really making sure, as a project director for Sundt, it's really making sure that we at Sundt are organized and we are positioned to bring value to our clients.
Are you, and it's project specific?
It is
on a project.
I'm not. I'm not on a project. I'm on multiple projects.
More sector.
Yeah, more market driven than anything.
Okay.
And so I think what's on my bio and what I truly, again, that's what I truly do, is I am on a project from stem to stern, from pre-con all the way through closeout. I'm making sure that our clients are seeing the value in having Sundt as part of their daily lives, and that and that the teams are doing what they're saying they're going to do, and again, adding quality, making sure we got time, cost, quality are all things that are happening on the project. So that, and then but really it's a project director. And then there's a peer I would have on projects as a project executive.
Correct.
Then he would handle the operations. So I've had a number of project executives, and they all have 3 or 4 projects that are going on at a given time, and that's a peer of mine. And then the other peer set of mine would be vice president of pre-construction, and then his team, and I'm working with those teams to making sure that things are being done on time, and that we keep the ball rolling, and then really it's, and I would say we talk about it in house all the time, is like what I'm supposed to be doing is 75% of my time should be spending doing business development.
Okay.
In creating relationships and making sure that, again, we're in a position to be the best value for any client when he's got something that's coming up. And I would tell you that pretty much I would say 90% of our work is negotiated work.
I was gonna bring that up on purpose here in a minute. It's that high, about 90%.
Yeah, and on the vertical construction side. And that is because currently, we're full. Like we're looking for work that starts in probably fourth quarter of 23, and even that has got to be specific because as most people, and again, it's my passion is. We have so many resources, and
in our case, we have so many non-resources.
Yeah. So we only have so many to go around, and we've got big work up in the North Valley, and we've got big work in Chandler, and those are we have to make sure that those projects are going smoothly, and the clients are happy, and and all those things, and then And then we've got so many other great clients that we work with all the time. So we have to be, specific about the work that they're doing, and then specific on what is the work that we want to take on. I will tell you on the business development side, I've told this story many times, and I think as a business developer, it's when you're the most busy. It is when it is most important for a business developer to be out there in the thick of the wood, right? In the thick of it.
Absolutely.
Is saying, maybe we can't do what you need now, but we are here for you. We'll help in any way we can. We'll point you in the right direction. We'll be that second set of eyes. We'll be a trusted advisor. All those things. And because, it's not always going to be like it is now. And
that's relationship building time.
Truly is.
I'm glad you said that, Tucker, because, I look at the three of us. We've all been around long enough. We've gone through the cycles. And I've told people that a million times. Selling now is actually harder than selling when you're scrappy and when it's slow.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's a lot of subconscious type stuff, but you get into different patterns.
Yeah, you do. And, one of the things that I had to learn just, over the last 6 months or so, which was completely different for me, is that when you achieve a certain level of success, when you are working for the Sundts of this world, when you know you're the best of the best, it's a matter of people, potential customers and clients understanding that look, it's no longer really a sell. It's back into that relationship, and it's like, we're the best.
Yeah.
Now, we can't take on your project right now, but next year you'll come back to us because we're the one to do the next one. And that's a completely different mindset from most BD guys out there, because it is that, it's chase and snap.
Like he said, like Tucker said, sustained excellence, the value proposition has to be equal or better than what you were before.
Right.
So again, you're not. I think the Vegas analogy was the best one. It's like, hold it. What are we doing now that we don't even know what we're going to be doing later, right? And I'm sure that's huge. Kind of the ethos that you guys talk and live by.
Yeah, exactly. And we do it now. We even with the projects that we're on now, it's like listen, the semiconductor market is it's a constant growth. I would tell you that our the Arizona market with having semiconductor manufacturers here is a fantastic market, and it's also a market that is constantly moving, right? It's a market that is like, if you stop building or you stop innovation, you're behind. Yeah, you're behind. And so I take that to construction too. If you just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do this, and this is the best way. This hammer works on this nail the best way. It goes through this wood.
So often. Yeah.
I say, there's no way can we make this any better until somebody does. And then all of a sudden you're standing there going, "Oh shit! Why didn't I think of that? I could have had a thinner nail. That had a hard, whatever it is. Exactly. It's like, I always say, if I would have, could have invented the air gun that oh my gosh, the nail gun back in the 80s, I would have been a quadrillionaire. At the time, it's like, who's going to carry around an air hose all over this thing? When I got just a bag and a hammer.
Yeah.
Until you see that you can, as a piece worker, right, in the residential side, until you see that you can make $300 more a day by carrying around an air hose, all of a sudden it's like, this air hose ain't so bad,
Yeah,
so
it's so true. Okay, JJ.
Torrey Contracting, your full-service Division 9 contractor. Torrey Contracting operates with a smaller, hands-on team. This cohesive structure results in superior workmanship and economical solutions. We deliver projects with unsurpassed commitment to quality and stewardship of budget. Torrey Contracting, small enough to listen, big enough to deliver.
Oh, we got a million topics.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was throwing you an underhanded pitch.
I'm a little slow. It takes a little while. Fast pitch is better for me. Tucker, big topic that we talk about all the time on this podcast, and is workforce pipeline of that kind of stuff. What can you say through the perspective of Sundt being one of the largest construction employers in the state and the region? What are you guys seeing, and what are you guys doing specifically?
I would so many things. It's a great question because
I know it's hard. Yeah,
it's so many levels, right? I would tell you, Sundt, we're making a major and have continued to make a major investment in workforce development. We are currently building our Sundt Center of Craft Excellence, where it's downtown Phoenix. We've had a really great program going for a long time. It is. Now we are expanding that. We're building a new campus that is going to train equipment operators, heavy equipment operators, welders, pipe fitters, industrial construction technicians, and this is not just for Sundt people. This is we're working with a lot of different people in our industry to understand what their needs are, and we're trying to position ourselves. And I would tell you that our CEO Mike Hoover. This is his legacy. This is his passion. He wants to be able to again create great people in the industry and do everything I just talked about with people, putting people to work and that sort of thing. So we personally, Sundt, are making that sort of investment. We also have and then on the admin side, there's there's a whole nother issue of workforce and PE, FEs, PEs, PSs, GSs, and all those positions to make sure that we've got that pipeline of that workforce coming through too. It's another interesting story, but so that's Sundt. And we continue to make that investment, and we continue to try to keep our finger on the pulse of what the needs are, specifically in the markets that we're in, because that's what we know, but also trying to make sure that that we're also always looking about what else is needed out there. I would tell you that we've also made an investment in. We've got I'm on a number of different boards. One of the boards I'm on is the Apprenticeship Fund board with the ABA, the Arizona Builders Alliance. I'm the treasurer on that board, and that is
watch your money, everyone.
Exactly.
I might want to get an audit on that one.
We talked about low handicap. I'm not good at math.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Tucker.
So I'm on the treasurer of that board, and so that is a fund that is that puts electricians to work specifically. We are looking into some other. We have looked into like Pueblo Mechanical had a person on that board, and so we're looking into doing some other things. But NCCR certified, putting 4-year program, putting electricians to work, getting them through the apprenticeship all the way to the journeyman, and then and there's some competition involved in that and those sorts of things. And so that's a component of what we invest in as an industry and what I invest my personal time in. The other piece that I would tell you on the admin side would be I'm also on the board of ACE, which is the Architects, Contractors, and Engineers mentorship program, and I'm the recruiting chair for mentors on that. So we should talk.
We should. Yeah, we should. I'd love to participate. Yeah.
So that's, if you don't know, so just for all that don't know, that is introducing high school kids to the architecture, contracting, and engineering industry, and basically taking a project, and each there's 5 different high schools that we have in-person mentorship where you're actually going to that high school with the high school kids. And walking them through everything from like understanding what a need is in the community. Like, is it workforce living? Is it a rec center? Is it a whatever that need is in the community? A few years ago, there was a homeless shelter that the kids chose, and so understanding what that need is, finding the location of where the best place to put that thing that is the need, and then on the architecture side, start to program it, right? Start to understand, okay, now we have a program. Now we know we need a 3-story building and it's going to be a tilt, and okay, so then structural engineering gets involved, and what does that structure look like, and how do you put a foundation together, and what does that math look like, and then mechanical, and then electrical, and then our interiors, right? All those things are a number of different classes. Sure. Goes for about 13 weeks, 2 hours every week on Thursdays from 4 to 6, and then at the end of the day, the kids get an opportunity to present that, similar to like where we would go to an interview, to sell or hopefully get hired for a project. Yep. They do the same with us. They come to a judging panel, and they basically present their findings of the need and the cost and and all those things, and there's it's a great program. Really introduces some kids thrive on it. Some kids go, yeah, you know what, not for me. But that's fine too. That you get to do that when you're young.
But you've helped them vet.
Yes, exactly right. And that's the story I'd give you guys too is that there's a huge scholarship component to this, where we give these high school kids, a nice little scholarship at the end of the day. We had this is not my story, but I've heard it and I've told it. But there was a parents' night, and the parents came to this with their son, and they said, "This is a really great program. Like, how much is it?" We're like, it's we pay you. We pay you at the end of the day. We will give
I love it.
And if your kid wins that's even a better little bump, if they win at the end of the day. So creating that pipeline very young for even those professional outfits is super important. It's interesting how the construction industry with the young generation coming up doesn't seem to be like one of their top choices. And that it's interesting to me because, like, when I was in high school, it's like the last thing I want to do was go sit in a classroom again for another 4 to 6 years, right? Like, I want to be out in the sun. I want to be doing. I want to be, and I want to see every day. I want to see what I'm putting in place, like see the value that I'm adding every day, and have something tangible. And by the way, get paid handsomely for it. And if you do it really well, you get the keys to the Connex and the pager. Show up early.
There's that.
Or Tucker, the way it's going, keys to the kingdom.
Right.
I mean, we've had number of guests on lately where we've focused on that, and let's be honest, capitalism has prevailed. It's everything we're talking about is it's made it commensurate with what the world is seeking right now. Like you brought up, a welder, pipe fitter makes more than someone with a 4-year degree in X, Y, and Z,
right,
with no debt.
Right. Yeah, and then and that's the other thing. I do a lot of work with the Build Arizona, and that's their mantra, right? It's like they've got some great PR that talks about, after 4 years of being a plumber, you're making 60, 70 grand a year, and you got a nice truck, and you got paid for tools and no debt, and
full bennies,
and full bennies, right? And then what does the other side look? And again, everybody is different. Everybody has their own path. Some that's not the path for them, and some, I've got 2 daughters, and I've got one that's in college. Is going to be a senior this year. She's graduating. I got another one that's like, last thing I want to do is go to college, right? And so, everybody has their own path, and I've seen both sides of that path. So,
but I think you hit the nail on the head. No pun intended. Is that our industry has the ability now to, I won't say right side because that's being judgmental, but even the societal paradigm that everyone's got to go to college, everyone's got to go do this, and a number of those discussions keep coming up on this podcast. And I just think that the market has finally allowed us to go back and be those ambassadors to that message, Tucker.
Yeah, and continue to carry that message, and again with young people. Some like myself, I didn't necessarily want to go right back to college, but I knew that a career path that I wanted that needed to happen, right? And so,
but you were motivated differently at that point.
I was, coming out of high school, just hey, go to college because that's what your parents say. That's the next thing you're going to do, right? That wasn't my motivator, right? My motivator was I need to make some money. I've got rent to pay. I want to be able to. And by the way, I want to also make my parents proud. Right, I wanted to make them proud that I was not on the dole when I was 19 years old. I was making good money, and I don't know if they're proud.
We'll get them on next week, and we'll ask. So Tucker as a child, we gave him up for adoption many times, but no grabbers.
That was that issue with the dirty room.
The fully censored episode.
Thank God Sundt found you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And my wife.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of come full circle. I've told the story before about my son in this is that, he would help me. He would work with me, work for me. He came to me one day at 17 years old or so and said, Dad, no offense, but I don't want to do this for a living, and didn't want, but we're getting to that place where all of that technology that was taking them or driving them a different direction is now coming full circle back into the trades with robotics and drafting and things.
Well, the programming and coding and everything that
that,
goes
that
into
is
yeah.
so huge. That now it's starting to bring people back, and now they're thinking, oh wow, I really wish I would have learned how to build, so I really would have known what I'm doing.
Right.
And so, it's kind of an exciting time.
We're working with a newer company, Doxel. Have you heard of this? So they take the model. It's a company. It's a software company. It takes the model. And you have your PE. He's got a 360 camera on his helmet, and they take that model, and the PE walks the entire project. Which, by the way, great excuse for the PE to walk the entire project, right?
No greater motivator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it actually shows a map of their path and that sort of thing. And the reason I bring this up is that it's a great way to. We have learned it is a great way to describe to an owner in an OAC meeting that is not a construction person to graphically say, here's what we did last week.
Yep.
Here's what we said we were going to go do this week.
Visually.
Yeah. And then, by the way, here is what we were able to accomplish last week. And for a non-person that's not, again, not a contractor,
those
like
are massive changes.
They're like, this is huge, right? Thank you so much.
Plus, it breaks down the language barrier. I don't mean English and Spanish, but that context. I mean what you like. We can throw acronyms and talk about that, but at an OAC meeting, we all know these owners. They don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
And so to do what you're talking about, Tucker, that's transformative.
And this, again, it's not my story, but I will tell you the story that the reason why this came about is that we had an owner that we would have the superintendent in an OAC meeting stand up and walk through the P6 schedule, right? And we're going to have this done, and then we're going to
Here's what we did at the pool planning.
Exactly. Yeah, here's the pool plan, and then we're going to paint, and then we're going to, and
so here's your 2-3 week look ahead. This is what it's going to look like then.
And what was happening is our owner was like, they're falling asleep.
Glazing over.
Not even falling asleep. They're more like, checking their email. And it's like, hey, listen, you guys are Sundt. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I go out there, walk the job. It's getting done. I don't know what And our project manager on the project said, there's got to be a better way, right? And he actually did the research and found this company that did this. And it's obviously a fee, but in the type of projects we're talking about, $100 million, 60, 100 to 100, up to $300 million, it's pennies. But the impact, right, of the innovation to stand in a meeting and say, this is what we're going to do, this is when we're going to do it, and this is how it happened, and this is what we did get done. And by the way, still showing that end date, right? Coming closer and closer, and you're watching the building graphically on a screen being built.
And the historical data.
Yeah, and the historical data, yes.
Something happens.
Well, I'll go one step further.
You have to go back and determine if you did
it,
something or didn't do something.
But you're also doing, and not to try to overdo and overstate what you guys are talking about, but now go to the emotional part. Okay, so take his owner on a $300 million job. If they've glazed over, they can't comprehend all of it to that N3. What's the worst thing? You get closer to the end, and once it becomes more tangible, if they get more and more disconnected, you've got acrimony now.
Yes, right.
Right. So now what I think is that's the biggest key is that you have this emotional touch to those people going, you've now made their language something that they can understand what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, there's a much better understanding of that, and you get more buy-in, right?
Yes.
And now I'm going to give you the hazardous side of this, and then which the thing that I thought of was the financial piece, right? So when you go in for billing and you say you're billing this, and you've got a
such
graphic,
percentage,
and and we deal with a lot of third-party billing inspectors, right? And I'm anticipating the day when they say, hey, the Doxel says, right, that you didn't, and you're billing for, and so there's always going to be that argument of between the time that the picture was taken and the time, you know what I mean? I do anticipate that,
it's here.
Yeah, for sure. But
the upside.
It's the adding value to the project, to the client, to the industry. It's all those things, and this is not a commercial for them because I've just learning about them and just recently. But I tell you that story only to say we as construction industry people, we have to continue to be innovative. We have to continue to try to add value to our clients, and then honestly give back to the industry, right? Give back to the industry and make sure that people are in the pipeline and they find it interesting. Robert, I started this whole thing because you were talking about your son and how he's more of a, he's more of a, tech guy.
Yeah.
Well, those guys that know how to work the models and put the models into the software,
BIM and all sorts of stuff now.
Like those guys are like they're worth their weight in gold.
Huge
You know what I mean?
clash detection. I said something to somebody the other day, and they're like, "Clash detection." I go, "Oh yeah, well now
I thought you were talking superheroes or something.
we can do models, and we can tell if this pipe's going to hit that before we build it, and it really blows people's minds. Think what can happen.
Think
today.
of this too. Think about a BIM guy that's a really good BIM guy, and then you make him an estimator, and then you make him a PE, and then he's a PM, and then he's operations executive, right?
You're talking some really well-educated, well-rounded
exactly.
people.
And it's only up to us as the leaders in this industry to make sure that those things happen, right?
Yes.
So, anyways, I give you that story to say I encourage your son to stay engaged, come back around. This is a great industry. It serves a lot of people and a lot of communities. And
Yeah, it's good, very very good stuff. What else we got? I mean, I can't even think of where we.
Well, here we're gonna cheat. We're gonna go back to our kind of pre-work.
Do it.
Tucker, there was one topic I think you want to talk about, which was the near future of private development versus public. Expand, please.
So, we're in this weird place.
Excuse me. What's the percentage for Sundt, private and public?
Well, that's going to be contingent on your transportation
market.
In
the vertical market, I would say, and I can speak only for our Southwest District, which is the Tempe and Tucson offices and the El Paso office. I would say it's probably 70-30, 70 being the public, 30 being the private. And I'm gonna loop in on the private side, like the large industry stuff.
Sure.
But I think it's hard to explain, and I get this as a podcast. But if you could think of a chart that has construction costs going up, right? We're still, in my mind, stumbling out of the COVID.
Absolutely.
We still have supply chain issues. We still have, and it's funny because I have clients coming who's like, it's almost 2023. It's 2 years. How could it still be? And I said, you take 10, 12 months out of all manufacturing, but construction industry continued to.
Yeah, we never stopped.
For the entire world, let alone, it's not just us in Arizona.
We sucked up, and we all that backlog of all the steel and all the wood and all the, you name it, the copper, the aluminum, like all those things, they all stopped making stuff, right? And so now I have, my funny story right now is we've got a pizza oven that we ordered like 7 months ago. It just left Italy like 3 months ago, and now it's in Maine somewhere. We don't we're still trying to get it here, right? And so I tell that story to say construction costs are going up still. Cost of money now is more expensive than it has been in many, many years. But rents and the money that people have to spend is going down, right? So rents are so you've got a private developer on a multifamily project that's done a performer based on so much per key and so much for the density of this building and that sort of thing, right? And he probably has, back in the day, a year and a half ago, we would have like a developer would put 5% in for the on the interest.
Yeah.
Would have been great because we were all at 2.8, right? And 3, like no way is it ever going to go over 4. Right. And here we're almost 7, right? Yeah. And so you've got this chart that has construction costs and the cost of money going up, but nobody like that wealth is not as much anymore, right? Correct. And so you've got this declining chart too. And so I feel like we've got the 3 circles. You've heard this analogy of the 3 circles of cost is going up. Cost of money is going up, the wealth is declining, and then here we are in our industry going, we're burning off backlog, we're
Projects aren't penciling.
Project are
like
penciling. I've been in a number of meetings lately. We're having to have this uncomfortable conversation with our owners, saying, "Guys, I know we said 60 million. It's now 70 million. You know, we're working real hard to get it down, and we're working real hard to add value. But at the end of the day, the cost of ash is the cost of ash for concrete, and the cost of rebar is the cost of rebar." And we put money in to cover the escalation, and we know that you did too. But at the end of the day, it was more than we've ever seen, right? In years and years in this industry.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
So this all stemmed from your question of what do I see in the public private market, and I do see that the public will be more the public side will be more prevalent in the next few years. I think the private is going to push. I think that a lot of the private, the big. At Sundt, we love big concrete projects. We're a self-performing concrete contractor, and we love big concrete towers. We love big concrete whatever, right? And that's what we do well. Our clients know that we do that well. That's why they come to us. And we've been to a couple of meetings recently where they're saying, "Hey, we're thinking we're going to hold 18 months. We're thinking we're going to hold 24 months." And as a contractor, you guys, we get it. It's difficult because in the state, in Arizona, Phoenix, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. I mean, you're still talking about keys on the sale side on whether it's multifamily for rent or for sale product. Big key costs, $550,000, $600,000, $700,000 a key that these things are selling for. Good back to whatever conglomerate, right? And so there's this urgency for people that have to spend money to make money. There's this urgency to get into the market. Yep. Because you build it, they will come, right?
Right.
But
that's been the case.
That's been the case, but I do see a leveling out. And you know what? That might not be a bad thing. That might be a good thing.
No, for the people that can weather that, I mean, that have a substantial backlog that can maybe get through that. I do think it is a good thing. I mean, it's the industry.
Yeah.
It's cyclical. It's going to happen over and over again.
We're all, I have to imagine, we're all in our 40s and 50s. So we've
grandpa over here.
So yeah. we all have seen it many times over, right? I've been in this industry since the mid 80s. Since saw the late 80s, saw the early 90s, saw the bubbles and the crashes. I mean, we've been through it all. And again, I've always said, what happens in these times is that the strong will survive, right? You have to stay strong. You got to stay diligent. And I'm even talking about with us companies, like let's not just lay off 150 people. Again, that's a big chunk. Maybe that's the wrong, but like let's be diligent. Let's be careful with the people that we let go, because guess what? Those people aren't coming back. A lot of times they're not coming back. It's like, why would I go back into the construction industry when every 7 years I may not have a job? So we just have to be careful and create other ways for them to stay engaged and stay valued and that sort of thing. And that goes back to the tech stuff. And then, so we talked about the tech stuff, by the way. Turn that around, go the other way, right? Take a good PM and make him a BIM guy now. Or take a good PE and make him a whatever software guy.
Just cross train those people that you can keep the key people.
Yes,
your key people without having to get rid of them. Yeah, it's huge stuff.
And we haven't even talked about PSs, project superintendents and general superintendents, who are the truly lifeblood and the builders of our industry. And those guys are, again, we get interns come in all the time, and then as a component of being an intern, you get to spend a day with me. I don't know if that's a prize. It certainly wouldn't be, but if I was, but these interns that come in and go, well, the first thing I want to be is a PM. And I said, well, do you know what a superintendent does? Do you know that those are the builders, right? Those are they're to be able to understand how, what goes in and when it goes in, and to manage and be a general in the field, and have people looking at you for direction and looking at you to be productive and looking at you, think about what a cool thing that would be too. And guess what? PMs, we do a lot of is financial statements and monthly project reports and executive project. We're doing a lot of that where you could be out in the field really putting work in place. And when you kind of present it to those folks that, I just want to be a PM, I want to be in the office, you give them another perspective. It's like, oh, okay, well, I never really thought of that. So,
let's kind of change course here a little bit. We touched a little bit on this before we actually went on air. From the BD perspective, we were talking about workforce development, et cetera, and you made the comment about personal branding, something that comes up a lot here, and how important it is to. It's funny. We call it personal branding now. It used to be reputation. You have to have a good reputation. You have to touch on that. Give us your thoughts on personal branding and its importance today as it pertains to positioning yourself in the workforce.
Sarah Owen and I, as our business development manager, we have a whole hour-long class that we give that talks about building relationships and personal branding. And it's so important, especially nowadays with so many opportunities out there and people that, that bounce around from this opportunity to that opportunity. It's so important to have that personal brand to say, hey, I know Robert, right? I know Robert. I know he does what he says he's going to do. I know that you can trust him. I know that he's a transparent guy.
You've hit the nail on the head already.
Apparently, this is the same Robert that I know.
Well, Robert Johnson's a very common name.
Robert Johnson.
Anybody. It could be anybody.
Oh, thank God, there's only one Tucker Macon.
Yeah.
But the personal brand thing is so important, and what we try to teach the young people is be careful with the bouncing around. I understand that there's opportunities, and you may have gotten to a place where you don't think you can grow, and there's a growth opportunity. I totally get it. But don't be that guy or that gal, right? Don't be the person that bounces for $1 or $2.
Do it strategically.
Yeah, do it strategically, and but also, again, it's everything that we just talked about. It's be transparent, do the right thing, make sure that with people that are following you, that they see that you're doing the right thing, right? And I think that's so important.
Yeah, huge.
And then the client aspect of that too, right? Especially us being in business development. If I'm talking to you today, and I'm representing Sundt, and then tomorrow I'm representing XYZ. What does that say? It's like I hope, and I'm sorry if I'm putting on your ears, but I hope that I'm here at Sundt for the rest of my career.
That's always the plan.
That's always the plan, right?
Should be anyway.
Right, and but because of that, I take pride in what we can offer our clients, and I think our clients knowing that Tucker, if anything, I got Tucker, he's not going anywhere, right? And so I hope that that's the case.
Yeah, very true. You want to ask the question? What have
No. I got one more first. Yeah, we got time. I got one more first before that one.
Yeah,
because you're in a very cool and unique position, Tucker. That large company, you get to see the more of the macro than the micro. Mm-hmm. What, for the audience's sake, if you can, just talk a little bit about what you're seeing is about why Arizona, why we're getting and retaining or attracting different industries. What's the sustainability look like? You guys get it because of the diversity of your organization with all those different components. You get to see a lot of that. What can you share that isn't proprietary?
I would tell you on the big picture side, I think Arizona has made a really large investment in on both the micro and the macro of like GPEC.
Yep.
You've got Westmark, that's in the West Valley. You've got a really great political climate that has been for many years to initiate and to recruit companies to come to Arizona. I would tell you that, and again, I'm not political. Let's
don't
put that
worry.
off
Yeah.
to the side. But I would say that where you've got what I'm seeing is a lot of companies, that come out of our West Coast brethren, and they are like, what is the first town that I can service my West Coast clients, but not deal with the West Coast tax bracket, all the things, right? Buckeye.
You could say it the Republic of California.
Yeah, right.
But you're right, Buckeye.
Yeah,
You're
Buckeye.
right.
And then all of a sudden, Buckeye goes, hey, you know what? A little bit of an infrastructure investment, and said, let's build a couple of really nice office buildings. And all of a sudden, you build the 303 corridor, and you can be in LA in 5 hours, off the 10. And I don't, I live in the West Valley, so they're widening the 10, and they're doing all kinds of great things out there. So I really think that the political climate and by the way, the climate itself, I'll give you the data center story. Is that data center story was, 10 years ago, data centers that was not a good investment to build a data center here because the machines need to be 48 degree. It wasn't 48, but it was, it was all about the cooling, right? It was how much water does it take? And by the way, it's a lot of square footage for not a lot of employees, right? It's like you build this, 100,000 square foot building and you got 4 people working there, right? So, but what has happened over time is that the technology has gotten better. Those machines don't need to run at 52 degrees anymore. They can run it. And by the way, the technology of the sandwich panels for tilt walls has gotten better. And the way that we can do a double T precast roof structure that pulls that heat away from the building and all those things, and all of a sudden it's a really great investment. And so I give you that to say Arizona has always been positioned to be a really great opportunity for those types of industries. And by the way, we don't have earthquakes, and we've got the wind and that sort of thing, but we can build around that, right?
And we have a lot of vitamin D.
And we have a lot of vitamin D. Yes, exactly right. So I think Arizona is still. We'll see. All right, we'll see. I think that we're still a state that is ripe with opportunity. I love to see new corporations coming here, and then the people that they're bringing from the other parts of the country coming here and creating a better life for themselves. There's this. The coach for the Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know if you've heard this story, but they did this. When they were doing the recruiting, they did the draft, and there was this great picture of him sitting at his huge house and like now all of a sudden these players they're like, well, that looks like a pretty cool place, Arizona. It's got this great, you got this great community and this great environment and great weather, and you got the sun all the time, and all of a sudden, who starts showing up? You get these these Class A players that they're willing to come out here. So
that's in everything.
I have some questions for you guys.
Yeah, shoot.
So you're right. I'm at almost that macro. Our average project that we normally do is in the 60, to 350 million is right in our range. And so what I'm curious is, how are you guys seeing the market? Like, what is it that is thriving for you? What is it that the next 2 years look for you guys? And I guess that's it. And then how are you positioning yourselves to take advantage of that?
You want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah. So with us specifically at Torrey, we have traditionally been a Division 9 subcontractor in the Las Vegas area. And we have made the transition to manufacturing and cold form steel wall panels and trusses and things of that nature to be that provider for the Sundts, for the Blue Waves of this world, because building is going to change the way that it's being. We've been talking about this entire time. Things are changing, so we are heavily investing and making those changes to position ourselves for the next wave, and to educate current owners and developers into a more of a design-led construction as opposed to what they would typically have done for years and years. But yeah, it's we're in a great place, and lots of opportunity right now for us in any of the student housing, senior living, multifamily, hospitality, any of that stackable, load-bearing partition system kind of work. I think it's a great time.
But you're leveraging the same transformation, technology, resources, all those things.
That everybody,
using the
every one of us is
modeling,
doing.
using the modeling to your
Absolutely.
your thing. And Tucker, for me, being what I call a very smaller brother to you guys, or if I can say that as I represent the small to mid-sized commercial GC in town, as all of you guys, meaning my big brothers and sisters, have gone up in your average ticket price, the demand for those same niches and markets hasn't diminished.
Right.
So what it's done is it's taken us and allowed us to go up a notch. So if our average ticket price was $15 million, now it's $25 million.
Right.
Those kind of things. But it's also allowed us to bring the trade base along too. So what we're doing, and much of the audience knows this, but we're starting to bring those services in-house. So we're now, doing M&As for the mom and pops for the HVAC, electrical, plumbing, bringing it in.
Yeah.
So we're coming back to being what I call the old school general contractor, much like you guys have built a backbone on self-performing concrete. We're starting to see that, hey, we have to start self-performing things too. We can't just be a paper contractor anymore. And that's the value proposition. And what it's doing is it's making our industry better because we're getting back to doing efficiencies, right? So let's say our back office, or like in your case, you guys are so sophisticated now in your 132 years of development, but take me, that's only 6 years old. We've got resumes that have all, like there are, everyone that's done 30, 35 years, but they it's their chance to then effectuate a new paradigm, right? Where they're like, hey, I worked for X, let's say you just use you. I worked for Sundt for 30 some years, and I saw what we can do, but I'd like to take a little bit more of an entrepreneurial path with that same mindset.
Yes.
That's where you get the ingenuity and the transformation. So for the audience's sake, what the cool part about it is you're better, I'm better, you're better. We're all better for that transformation. And back to what you were saying, are we going to leave our industry better? Luckily, because of how we've led into this conversation of with Arizona being the way we are, we're drawing more of this demand for the cool projects. And let's be honest, we're the manufacturing and tech center of the U.S. now. I mean, you can't discount that.
Yep.
And I'm more interested and excited, Tucker, for all the ancillary things that are going to come out of that.
Yep.
And if we're going to do the best in our industry, we should grab that, make it better, so that we aren't just another sine wave in the market share. And I do believe, like you brought up some great things, ABA, ACE. We've got some strong leadership in our industry here in the state, in the state of Arizona. I would be very disappointed if the collective whole, the ingenuity and strength of all those people that are involved, if we don't come out of this much better, because we've looked at the history of some of our other brethren and sisters of other states going, let's not make that same mistake. So I don't know if that teed it up well for you.
It's the total integrated project delivery method, right? It's being way out ahead of this stuff. And again, I think it creates a great solution for our clients to put the trust in us to know that we're going to bring them the best value that's possible, and we're going to use all these solutions to make that happen. So,
absolutely.
Is there anything we haven't asked you that you'd love to share?
You
bench press 650?
No. I wish. No.
He's got some cannons on him, everyone. So,
well, that is a good one though. Is that there is a component of us as industry leaders is that let's make sure that we are taking care of ourselves. If we take care of ourselves first, this is going to be super cliche-ish, but I ran into this a number of times. Is like, let's not forget to be the stewards of our own self. Stay healthy, mind and body. When you do that, other people will say, well, that guy makes time for himself to make sure that he's being healthy for that everybody else can then also be healthy and do their best work right behind you, right?
Yeah,
so
great point.
I give that to you guys, and as we go into, I call it mowing down mashed potatoes and gravy, because I'm going to do that for the next 4 days.
Yeah, I'm gonna
He's
probably
going on a
mow
6-week bender.
I'm gonna mow a little bit myself. Yeah.
But I'm in with the ABA, I'm in the senior executive program right now, and the first 2 classes of that were self.
Nice.
And it was funny. The funny story I would tell you is that I went into that class thinking, well, they're going to show us how to, use our calendar better. And, here's how you use email to your advantage and, that sort of thing.
We've all been in those classes.
Yeah. And I was truly thinking that. And the first day they were like really diving into your psyche of like how you approach people and problems and how you approach your workplace every day. And
I think that's a lot more prevalent today.
Totally. And it reminded me to go into the office on a daily basis with a good attitude and with positive attitude and knowing that people are going to
Listening?
Huh? Did you say something? Something about the males can't listen
I
very
sure
well.
hope your people don't listen. Yeah, anyway.
I love you guys. Thanks, Tucker. That message is awesome.
Yeah. So I would leave you with that. If you could do that, that'd be good.
I agree. Well, I don't know that I think we've solved every problem in the construction world.
Yeah, and one last thing.
Yeah.
Tucker, people might want to get a hold of you. Are you instantly accessible on Sundt's website, or would it be better to give out your email or something?
I can certainly give you my email.
You're on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
That's probably the best then.
Yep. Best thing really is to LinkedIn. And again, if anybody's interested in the ACE program and in Build Arizona Future and or the ABA and those sorts of things, please reach out. I can certainly get you. If I can't answer, I certainly
there's plenty of people that can be.
Yeah, and if you
contacted
can't figure out how to get in touch with Tucker, you can always reach out to us.
Certainly. We'll
through
pay it
through the
forward.
website.
Yep.
And
well, thank you, and thank you to Sundt for being pivotal in our community.
Awesome program. We're going to have you back, I promise.
I hope so.
Okay?
I hope
you
so.
can take us out of here.
You've been listening to the Mac and Blue Show, brought to you by Torrey Contracting and Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the Mac and Blue podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky on LinkedIn and Instagram. Tune in live every first and third Thursday at 3 p.m. as we continue to introduce you to the people building Arizona. Walt Disney said, "You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it requires people to make the dream a reality." Until next time, make it a great day.